What flows in a river is something that's essential to all of us. And when you see it in that dynamic form going by, you see it supporting all of that life. It's a very primal sensory experience.
The water doesn't stay still, it's always moving. So when you think about rivers, you have to think about the whole landscape. And you have to think about all the communities, the people upstream, the people downstream, how they affect each other.
The Wild and Scenic designation really is a source of pride. It's something that we see as a point of identity, and it means that our river really is a national treasure.
The original wild and scenic rivers in the western part of the country were rivers that were not much developed and largely on federal land. But the rivers in the east have recovered a great deal so that now these rivers have become valuable scenic and recreational assets again.
The Wild and Scenic Rivers Act was a big umbrella, but it took a long time for the Park Service to figure out how to use it to protect rivers where you're not going to create a federal park, where it would be inappropriate to buy or manage the private lands. How do you deal with those rivers? And that was really the problem that Partnership Rivers set out to solve. Communities that have been living in harmony with these rivers for hundreds of years, they've got some strong feelings about what's important. So if you bring that in and integrate it into the planning from the get-go, you're much more grounded in a reality that's going to get you a good product.
Wild and Scenic sometimes suggests to people that the river is going to be considered wild and pristine, and therefore you won't be allowed to do anything on it or around it. That's really not the case. It's recognized that these rivers are within towns. They have historic uses, and that is respected.
It's brought some money, it's brought some attention, and it's brought the communities together around the rivers in a nice way. It certainly wasn't a land grab by the federal government.
Musconetcong is a Lenni Lenape word. We think it means a meeting place of clear flowing water. I grew up with the Musconetcong River in my backyard. That's why I get engaged and excited about protecting the river. It's a great way to talk about the history that you just absorb growing up in a place. Back when there wasn't electricity, people needed a way to get power. And the best way of getting power was from the river. And people built grist mills to grind their grain. None of these dams were used to prevent floods. Some of them are hazardous and they could breach. We work in partnership with dam owners who have a high hazard dam, and if they would like the dam moved, we're a way to bring in outside funding to help remove that dam. We've been restoring a migratory fish passage, so fish like shad, alewives, other river herring, and eels can come back. So the shad came back a year after we took down that dam. The shad are an iconic fish in the Delaware River watershed. So when the shad came back, it drew a lot of attention. Great success for the river, and it's a great way to restore the environment and really meet what the Wild and Scenic River Act is about.
To see a fish that hasn't been here for hundreds of years, that was probably one of the best feelings I've had in my career.
Are you catching anything?
My dad catch some
Trout?
Yeah. This is a rainbow trout. They moving the dam, so it's very nice now, right now.
The river is moving in a direction that it needs to move in terms of recovery.
You know, this is the culmination of ecology and engineering coming together on a project. And I like to stand there and listening to it.
It's relaxing. That water it's just relaxing to hear it go through there like that.
It looks just like a Rocky Mountain stream. it flows the way it's supposed to. I don't think anybody in 100 years has seen it flow like this. It's gorgeous, and we love it.
We have 5 staff, 2 are full-time, 3 are part-time. Even though we're small, a local article called us the mighty MWA because of what we've been able to accomplish. And it's through having that base level of support, that capacity that comes from the Wild and Scenic Act. Congress makes it eligible for designation, but for it to actually go into force, the local communities need to agree to it. It's a way of exercising the pride that people feel about where they live, and it builds an identity to not just the river, but the region overall.
I think we're seeing the return of rivers. Even our mill towns now are turning back towards the rivers and making them a centerpiece, making them an asset instead of a liability. And that's very exciting to see.
The river is never going to go back to an untouched, pristine state. So the question is, what choices are we going to make in shaping the future of the river?
Rivers cross boundaries. They're often used as a dividing line between boundaries. It can result in a fragmented way to look after a river and care for it. And what the Wild and Scenic Act does through creating the River Management Council, it creates a more holistic view of the river overall.
Everybody wants clean water. They want to preserve the recreational opportunities. They want to preserve the wildlife. They want to preserve the historic character. They can't do these things alone. It's going to need to be a collaborative effort with state, federal agencies, nonprofits. A lot of the draw of Partnership Rivers is that we bring these parties together to preserve that resource and make the most of it for future generations.
Every time we used to go out in the boat, this guy here was the only one that would catch trout. All we catch was weeds. We got the hawks,
Right.
what's that long-necked bird?
Oh, heron.
Heron. We had a couple of them in here.
Yeah.
Dick
big,
don't like
too.
them because he's got a pond. They go after his fish.
They eat your fish, yeah.
They want my fish.
I can sit on my deck in my yard when the water's a little bit higher, and I love to hear that ripple effect.
When I check on him as he's listening to the ripples, he's usually asleep.
No, come on, I'm not sleeping. How can you sleep listen to the ripples of the water?
Puts you to sleep.